if you go, even if you go on the Eagles website right now, it says the Eagles agreed to terms with Jaquiski Tartt, um, and they don't have him on the roster page yet. That indicates me pen has not been put to actual paper, and I haven't seen it come over the wire. The NFL has a transaction wire every day, comes out in the afternoon at about 4 or 5, and so I don't think his signing is official yet.
And a good morning, Birds fans. It's a hump day edition of Mac and Mac, a.k.a. Birds 365, McMullen and McDonald. We start with an apology today. I'll be the one to apologize because I'm the reason that we're a couple of minutes late here. And my buddy OG Philly guy already on the stream going, hey, thought you were supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I know. We're a couple minutes late. Kind of like NBA and NHL start times for postseason games. They always list them, and you see the listing most often on the broadcast network that's got the games. Oh, they'll give you a half an hour ahead of time before it's ever going to start. They want you turning in for that pregame show. And even at that, they've had games that are supposed to start at 8. The tip-off is 8:22. What the hell? You're off by 20 minutes. If you're off by a minute or two, all right, I can take that. They're up by like 20 minutes. False advertising.
People are sticklers, man, Jody. People are sticklers. We're in what Nick Sirianni got hired in January of last year. So we're at about almost 18 months of the Nick Sirianni era. The next press conference he arrives to on time will be the first. Occasionally people are late. It's okay.
Sirianni, it's Coach Sirianni time. I don't think we've reached the Mac and Mac time yet. That we're always here at 8:01. We're here on time more often than we're not. Today we're a couple minutes late because we're having some scheduling issues, getting a couple guests up.
Scrambling to get guests for the fans. We're always doing something.
Locking the two guests in within 15 minutes of the start time of today's show. But we do have two good guests coming your way. All right, JM, here's where I want to start today. Because we did a little bit of it yesterday. I did last night on my WIP show after the Phillies 7-0 loss at the hands of the Texas Rangers. And it has to do with the newest Philadelphia Eagle, Jaquiski Tartt. Couple people here on the stream, couple people on Twitter. Can't believe that I'm not over the moon with the signing of Jaquiski Tartt. That I think it's a solid signing. It's a good signing. The funny thing about it is, JM, and I know we talked about this yesterday, but 24 hours later, it's still the same issue. It's still the same song. We still don't know what contract he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. You do this for a living. I just come on here and react, but you do it for a living, and every once in a while, you might even get ahead of the story and be the guy who breaks a signing. Usually I would put it at about 2/3 of the time when someone reports a signing within hours, not even days, within hours, we've got general outlines of a deal that an agent is going to get information out there. Different reporters have different ways, different sources to get information. Some have guys within organizations who might give them off the record details on a contract. Sometimes the players themselves go to Twitter and or Instagram or whatever, and they leak their own contract. I just signed a 2-year contract with Team X for X amount of dollars. So there's a lot of different ways you can get that information. But would I be right to say the one that most frequently happens is the agent getting the information to whatever media member he chooses to get details to a contract out there? Is that the most often way that a contract's details break?
99 point, I'm going to go 5% of the time. It's the agent or when the contract gets filed with the union, the Players Association. I'm not going to say it's never coming from the team, but it's rarely coming from the team. It's always coming from an agent or the money aspect of it.
Right. That's what we're talking
Teams,
about.
yeah, teams will confirm actual signings and things like that. But, and I'm not going to say Adam Schefter's never gotten it from some GM, but very, very rarely it comes from agents and when the contract is actually filed with the players union. Interestingly, and I have to check this because I haven't been, it's the off season. It's not that important. I don't think the Eagles have officially signed Jaquiski Tartt yet. And by the way, I keep saying Jaquiski because that's the phonetic spelling, the Eagles. So I don't know until I meet him and see what he wants to be called. I'm going to go with that. But so that is one aspect of bookkeeping I want to explain to people. And then the second is if you go, even if you go on the Eagles website right now, it says the Eagles agreed to terms with Jaquiski Tartt. Um, and they don't have them on the roster page yet. That indicates me pen has not been put to actual paper. And I haven't seen it come over the wire. The NFL has a transaction wire every day. It comes out in the afternoon at about 4 or 5. And so I don't think his signing is official yet at this point because it's the offseason. Nobody's in the building. He's
Right.
probably not, he's not here. They wait till so he's agreed to terms. So that's going to complicate things as well, unless the agent offers up the information, because it's going to slow down the filing of the contract because they haven't signed the contract yet. So that slows down the filing as well. So it's a strange part of the season, obviously, when you bring in a player during the dead period. And so it'll probably take a little bit longer.
No, and the point you make about it being a downtime for the league and that can slow things down does need to be taken into consideration. But usually when it takes this long, and when I say this long, I mean between the time that someone first reports that the team and the player have agreed to a contract, for the details to be added to that, usually it's a matter of hours. Okay, if it's a day or two, so be it. We're now looking at 5 days since it first was reported that Tartt was going to join the Eagles, and we still don't have the information. That does happen from time to time. Again, I'll ask you to give me a percentage. When something like that happens, John, and we have to wait for the information to get out into the world, 9 out of 10 times, 19 out of 29, 19 out of 20, 29 out of 30 times, that means it's a team-friendly contract, that the team is the one that when we all look at it and get evaluated, okay, that's a good deal for the team, not big bucks, not long-term. Most times when it takes this long to come out, it means that the team has gotten a good deal, correct?
Yeah, well, what did I put? 99.5% on whether it being the agent or
Agent leaking info, yes.
I'm going to go 99.9% of the time. You always leave the door slightly ajar, as Howie Roseman would say. But no, I mean, common sense. If you're an agent, you get a good deal for a player, you want to go screaming from the mountaintop and say,
Right.
"Oh, look what I was able to do for my client," and that helps you with other clients. And all right, wow, yeah. So that's what it's about. And when it's not as desirable, and look, I think this is going to be very close to the veteran minimum, if not the veteran minimum. Nobody's bragging about it. It is what it is. It's just part of the process. And Jaquiski Tartt is like a number of veteran players that ultimately, this will be his 4th NFL contract. He's over 30 now. So we know that what the league thinks of over 30 players, especially at certain positions, and defensive back would be one of them. It's good to be in the league at that point. And, if you're getting a veteran minimum, there's nothing wrong with it, but nobody's going to brag about it.
you've written a couple articles on the acquisition, even though you're right, it's still not official in any way, shape, or form. The Eagles surely haven't confirmed it yet. It's not on their website. It's not on the league website.
Well, they confirmed they agreed to terms, but there's a difference. Agreed to terms.
Right? Didn't they once agree to terms with Frank Gore?
That's true.
Okay.
In this case, I'm not, but that's what I'm trying to say. By no means is he backing out of the deal or anything of that nature. This is just timing, probably more than anything else. So I'm not trying to say Tartt's going to be an Eagle. It's just a matter of trying to explain the mechanics of the time of year and why things are taking a little bit longer from the contract's reveal standpoint as normal.
I'll borrow the John McMullen 99.9% belief that I think he is eventually going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. It's just not completely 100% official yet, and we're missing some key elements to the deal. That's the whole point I'm trying to drive home. I don't know if it was you yesterday, John, or if it was our buddy Chris Franklin. Someone evoked the name of Will Parks.
That was Chris. I gave him credit for it because I yelled at I hit myself. I was like, I brought up all the old safeties,
right?
Veteran safeties, and I forgot Will Parks. And he's a Philly kid,
right?
I know Will, and there was a lot of hype around Will Parks, and it was.
And undeserved. Oh, by the way, guilty as charged.
Yeah.
I was part of the hype machine 2 years ago when he signed as a free agent for the Eagles in a tremendously similar deal to the one that I think Jaquiski Tartt will end up signing, because he had signed his first contract. Tartt actually signed a second contract with the Niners before signing a third contract with the Niners. The Eagles got Will Parks after just his rookie contract. They signed him away from the Denver Broncos, but it was basically the veteran minimum, which tells you Denver had offered him the veteran minimum, and he said, you know what, I can go home. Let me go home. I've been in and out here, Arizona, Denver. After he left Philly, graduated high school, went and played for Arizona, then gets drafted by Denver, spends 4 years there. So he's been away from Philly for 7 or 8 years. Eagles have some interest. He says, I'm coming home, and he signs here. Do you remember my buddy Brandon Cristal, who we had on from Denver? Good dude. You saw him at the game, you said, right?
Yeah. Good guy.
Good guy, very good reporter. He's a former buddy of mine, produced for me when I was at Sirius XM, and a really good Bronco reporter. So when I saw that the Eagles were going to sign him, I put in a call to BK, because I know he knows the Denver players. He's got a good eye for talent and what they do and don't do. And also he was a really good, for COVID hit, reporter who got in and got to know all the players and the like. So I wanted a scouting report on Will Parks. And man, did he sing his praises. He said, Jody, you're going to love the kid. He plays with energy, he plays with heart. He goes out there, he's not afraid to throw his body around. To Brandon's credit, he said, he's not the most talented player in the world, but if you want to talk about attitude and energy and the desire to do whatever it takes, he's got a great personality. He's a Philly. He used to talk about Philly all the time with me when I would talk to him after games and stuff like that. So Brandon bent over backwards to tell me how much I was going to love Will Parks when he showed up here in Philadelphia. So I was, guilty as charged, one of those guys who went on, excellent signing by Howie Roseman. This could be a difference maker. He's going to grab a starting job for the
Sounds familiar. Yeah, it's a little, I mean, hey, you know what? The Eagles were proven correct about Will Parks since, they cut him. He's just been going.
Hey. He's on the Jets.
Is he on the Jets now?
Yes, sirree.
Because the Eagles signed him in 2020. So Doug Peterson's last year.
I can give you because I know it off the top of my head, and I just completely forgotten about him, and shame on me. After the Eagles let him go, didn't sign on with anybody. The Chiefs, Andy Reid gave him a shot last year going into camp. They signed him during the offseason, brought him into camp. Cut him before the season ever started. But he didn't make it out of camp with Andy last year. The Dolphins picked him up off the waiver wire. He was with them for a good couple weeks, if not a month or two. The practice squad back and forth, played in a couple of games, got waived by the Dolphins. Jets claimed him, and he played the last 2 or 3 games for the Jets, including, I think he started week 17 for them last year, and they re-signed him to a contract during the offseason.
Yeah, I'm just looking him up as we speak. So we left Philadelphia in 2020. He actually went back to Denver. He got
Denver,
cut in
that's right. He
season
went
by
back
Eagles.
to the Broncos, reclaimed him first.
And then the Chiefs, as you mentioned. Then he was with San Francisco, then Miami, and then the Jets.
I missed that one. I missed the 49ers. Yeah. How did he not supplant Jaquiski Tartt? If you're a big Jaquiski Tartt fan, there you go.
Well, that was
better than Will Parks.
Yeah, that was a practice squad. The Niners signed him to their practice squad. Then the Dolphins signed him off the Niners practice squad, and then ultimately was claimed by the Jets. So since the Eagles released him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, Wilson, he does everything Brandon said. He's got a tremendous personality. High energy player. I remember at the time you said minimum deal. He did get a minimum deal, but he wanted to come back to Philadelphia. He wanted to play here. The Lions offered him more. The Vikings offered him more. So he had better contract offers and came to Philadelphia. Ultimately, and it's rare, and I thank Chris Franklin again, where you see a play and you go, oof. And they put Will Parks in the slot, and he was trying to cover a slot receiver, and I just went, oof. Not going to happen.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. Now, if they used him just as a safety, obviously it didn't work out. But and he was younger. He was coming off his rookie deal with the Broncos when the Eagles signed him. So he's in that wheelhouse. So it was a bit of a disappointment. I think people looked at him. Whereas I mentioned with Tartt, he signed 3 contracts with the 49ers. He had his rookie deal. He re-signed a 2-year deal. Then he re-signed a 1-year deal at the veteran minimum last year. This is his 4th contract. So over 30 now, a little bit different from that standpoint, but he's also far more proven. Look, Tartt has played a lot of football on some very good defenses. That's the positive part. He's a far more proven player than, say, a Will Parks. So you can look at it both ways, but the Eagles have a history of bringing in veteran safeties. Most of them haven't worked. We talk about that with linebackers, and Les Bowen, I see him popped in the green room. Les can talk about this as well, because they have signed a bunch of veteran linebackers that didn't work out on 1-year deals. They've done the same thing at safety. The exception probably Corey Graham, and they got half a season out of Andrew Sendejo. The rest of the guys, Jonathan Cyprian, they traded for. I mentioned him. Andrew Adams last year. Will Parks the year before. Nah, not so much.
I'm just mentioning this because I got a couple of responses on Twitter. We had a couple of guys both in the last 2 days here on our stream suggesting that he's the best Eagles safety sign coming in. As John just pointed out, there's a chance he not on the Eagles 53-man roster the first game of the season. He's going to have to beat out certain players to even get a spot. He's a safety net, and safety net's a good thing. A veteran minimum safety net is a great thing. A guy who's been on a Super Bowl team is a great thing. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to be a starter and or a big-time playmaker. It doesn't really even guarantee a spot on the roster. Will Parks did make the roster, but he was gone before the season was over and done with. Yeah, I had to skim back on Will Parks because I bought the hype and said, this kid's going to come in and make plays. No, it never really happened. So just a cautionary tale for some of you Eagle fans that I think are getting a little overexcited about Jaquiski Tartt. All right, we're going to take our first time out of the day. Yes, as John mentioned, our good buddy Les Bowen, who I goofed up in almost not getting him on the show today. We'll give you the backstory to that and get plenty of opinion from Les Bowen of NJ.com next year on Birds 365.